What's up, everybody? Welcome to DFS by the Numbers. These are my full card breakdown and predictions for UFC Apex 5, Derek Brunson versus Edmund Shahbazyan. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another full card breakdown and prediction video. This time we are breaking down UFC Apex 5, and we have a very good, sneaky card here. We're back in the Apex with the smaller cage here, so I think there's going to be a lot more exciting fights. Some fights that you might not think are too exciting, but the smaller cage, I don't know what it was, but there were a lot more finishes in that smaller cage than the one we had at Fight Island. And 2 late kick knockouts, so maybe we'll get another one of those this week. But coming off of a very, very good week last week, was able to complete the sweep of Fight Island, going 4-2 on my bets. The bets that I won was Paul Craig and Antigulov under 1.5 rounds. Jake Collier versus Aspinall, had Aspinall winning inside the distance. Robert Whitaker straight there, and then a parlay of Chimaev McKee, fight doesn't go to decision. Aspinall winning, and Paul Craig Antigulov, fight doesn't go to decision there, a plus 100 parlay. And the 2 losses were Rodriguez and Jai Herbert, which, man, I thought Jai Herbert had it for a second, got clipped in that third round. So went 4-2 my bets, plus about 3 units there. And then I posted on Twitter a Hail Mary 8-leg parlay. Listen to this. Nathaniel Wood, Ramazan Ameev, Tanner Bozer, Grundy and Evelev goes to the distance. Aspinall, Chimaev wins by finish. Paul Craig Antigulov finishes inside the distance, and Betch Correa, Pani, Kienzad goes to the distance there. An 8-leg parlay, Hail Mary hit. That was unbelievable. Hopefully a lot of you guys got on that. I'm not much of a parlay guy, but last week was really a parlay card, and luckily I was able to leave out Gustafsson and Nicholas Dalby, and I know a lot of people had them in their parlays, so sorry about that, but 8-leg parlay to top off Fight Island. So what a great Fight Island it was for me. Hopefully you guys did good as well. It went about up 14 units. I posted on Twitter a little bit earlier, so great card for me. Hopefully continuing the success on this card, and this card is kind of tough from a betting perspective because there aren't many underdogs on this card. I think I'm picking only a couple here. Lots of big favorites that are probably going to win. Lots of favorites that shouldn't be so big, but honestly, they'll probably win. But we'll break it all down and more. Before we get started, if you guys can leave a like, also subscribe if you haven't yet. We'd really appreciate that. And I also want to make an announcement that I am going on Odds HQ Tuesday evening, talking some DraftKings and some picks as well. And then also, I think I'm going on there Wednesday evening as well. So come on Odds HQ. Go check me out on there. Leave a nice comment or something to support me on there, support the show as a whole. Some great guys on there, and going to be talking some fights. So just come check it out. And then, of course, as always, I'm going to be going live Friday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, talking my final bets, talking the weigh-ins, and all that good stuff. And, of course, follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. I'll be posting my bets on there and all that. Come talk some fights with me on fight day. My DMs are open if anybody has any questions, as always. And other than that, let's get into the breakdown here. All right, so first fight here, we have Chris Gutierrez versus Cody Durden. And I'll be honest, I struggled to find tape on Cody Durden. What I found was a lot of these kickboxing fights, which I really didn't want to see. I wanted to see what this guy's wrestling game was like, because watching tape on Chris Gutierrez, his wrestling is kind of a weakness in his game. I've seen him taken down multiple times. I've seen him taken down and controlled for minutes at a time. And if Durden has some wrestling here, I thought that maybe he could win this fight. And just looking at it here, Chris Gutierrez is a minus 310 favorite, and I think there's a lot of recency bias going into that line. Chris Gutierrez is 29 years old. He is 5'9" with a 67-inch reach. He is 15-3-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. And Cody Durden is 29 years old. He is 5'9". We do not know his reach. 11-2 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. I believe he's won the last 7. So, as I said, watching tape on Durden, I saw him have some success in the wrestling, and I want to know his wrestling credentials, and I stalked his Instagram, I stalked his Twitter to see what this guy's wrestling credentials was. Did he wrestle in high school? Did he wrestle in college? I did find out that he is at American Top Team, and he's been there for a while. I think he's been there since 2014, 2015, and I've seen Durden pick up guys and slam them and take them to the ground, so honestly, I think this fight could be a lot closer than the line indicates. I'm not that high on Chris Gutierrez, And like I said, there is a lot of recency bias. We just saw him get a leg kick knockout. Like, I think that was the second one in UFC history as well. So obviously that's not probably going to happen again. I am going to pick Gutierrez in this fight due to the experience, and the striking advantage is going to be probably pretty decent. But if Durden can get him down, I think the fight can play out a lot closer. But I'm assuming Gutierrez is improving his ground game, is improving his takedown defense. But don't be shocked if Durden makes this fight a lot closer than the line indicates. So I would not be going out here and parlaying Chris Gutierrez at minus 310. Honestly, he should probably be like minus 200, around that range. So lots of question marks with Durden. I wish I was able to watch a little bit more tape on him. There honestly wasn't much, but from what I saw, the kid's not bad. So I'm going to take Chris Gutierrez. I'm going to pick him to win by decision there. All right, next we got Jamal Emmers versus Tamir Valiev. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but Valiev, he is 30 years old. He is 5'6" with a 68-inch reach. He is 16-2 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Jamal Emmers, he is 31 years old. He is 5'10" with a 74-inch reach and 17-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So looking at the line here, and before I did any tape whatsoever, I was surprised that Valiev was a minus 175 favorite here. I was expecting Emers to possibly be the favorite. I know Emers was a little bit underwhelming in his UFC debut against Giga Chikadze, and I was on Emers in that spot. Arguably, you could have argued that Emers did win that fight against Chikadze. The thing about Emers is I do question his fight IQ. It took him 7 minutes to attempt a takedown against Chikadze, and honestly, what you have to do to beat Chikadze is take him down, and I was really expecting Emers to come in with a game plan to get takedowns, and we saw when he shot for a takedown, he got it very easy against Chikadze there. So his wrestling's very good. He was a standout wrestler in high school. I believe he went D1 for wrestling as well, and Valiev is not bad at all. The thing that is causing me to pick Emers here is Emers has a 6-inch reach, and Valiev is 5'6", so Emers is going to have a 4-inch reach advantage here, a 4-inch height advantage here as well. He's going to be the bigger guy. And what I can tell you guys for sure is Emers is probably going to lose that first round. He's one of those guys that gets better as the fight goes on, which that's something you don't really like to see. But when Emers turns it on, he looks very good in that second and third round when he turned it on against Chikadze, especially in that third round. He was out-striking Chikadze by a ton. And he also landed 4.96 significant strikes per minute in that fight. So the output's there. Both of these guys have pretty good output, and very, very close fight. But I'm going to side with the underdog. Jamal Emers plus 155. Might be taking a look at that bet there, but honestly wasn't overly impressed with Valiev. I've seen him taken down before. I've seen him controlled. He's able to get up. He has a good get-up game. He's able to get takedowns himself as well. I don't really see him taking down Emers. Maybe he does, but overall, I think Emers can possibly get him down for points at a time. Probably not hold him down, but just get him down there and then really take over that second half of the fight, Jamal Emers. So give me Emers. Hopefully got those the octagon jitters out of the way in his first UFC fight and beat Valiev here. But this fight is going to be very close. I think it should be closer to a pick'em, honestly. But Emers by decision for me. All right, this should be a really fun fight here. Marcus Perez, we all remember he dressed the Joker last fight. That was awesome to see. Perez, he is 30 years old. He is 6'1" with a 73.5-inch reach. He is 12-3 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Eric Spicely, he is 33 years old. He is 6'2" with a 73-inch reach. He is 12-5 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Looking at the line here, Marcus Perez is minus 200 and Spicely is plus 170. So some things I want to point out from a statistical standpoint is Perez has never been knocked out. Perez has never been submitted. And I believe Eric Spicely is a black belt in BJJ, but Perez is very good on the ground as well. I'm not sure his BJJ credentials, but Perez is very good on the ground. So I think this is probably going to end up standing. I'm not sure if Perez wants to take down Spicely. Maybe he does. I think he could have success, especially later, because I don't think Eric Spicely has the best gas tank. But when this is on the feet, I favor Perez quite a bit. You know, watching tape on Spicely, I was very underwhelmed by his striking defense. Like, he covers up, he gets against the cage, and he just covers up, and he lets guys tee off on him like 10, 20 strikes at a time, just covering up, and he leaves his body very exposed, and some fighters were able to take advantage of that, but I know for sure that Perez will, and Perez has very good body kicks, so Spicely leaves his body absolutely wide open. It is there to be punched, it is there to be kicked, And I think Perez can very much take advantage of that. And just the gas tanks, I think Perez has a better gas tank. Spicely looked very tired in a lot of his fights there, and I just don't think he has the gas tank to compete with Perez. Perez has been tired in his fights, but I think I do give the gas tank advantage to Perez there. But overall, I think Perez is the better fighter by a decent margin. And the only thing I'd worry about here is, Spicely is a dangerous guy, but I don't really see him, submitting Perez here. Maybe he does, but probably not likely. Like I said, Perez has never been submitted. Both these guys have finished 50% of their fights by submission. Honestly, if anything, I think Perez can maybe hurt Spicely and submit him on the ground, but I like Marcus Perez quite a bit in this fight. I'm just not high on Spicely whatsoever. I don't really think he's a good fighter, and obviously I give the edge to Perez quite a bit there. So I'm going to pick Perez to win. I do think this fight probably finishes. I'm going to say that Perez really hurts Spicely to the body and gets him out of there in that third round. But yeah, give me a Marcus Perez by third round knockout there. I just don't think Spicely's striking defense is where it needs to be whatsoever for this UFC level. All right, Ray Borg versus Nathan Maness, and this is a very weird fight. We got Ray Borg. He is 26 years old. He is 5'4" with a 63-inch reach. He is 13-5 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Nathan Maness, he is 29 years old. He is 5'10 with a 72-inch reach. He is 11-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. So some things I want to point out here. Nathan Maness is going to have a 9-inch reach advantage and a 6-inch height advantage, and that's really worrisome in this fight. And then Borg is a minus 220 favorite here. Maness is plus 180. So I think Borg is either going to look like a minus 350, minus 400 favorite here, or this fight's going to look like a pick'em. I don't really think there's any in between. It all comes down to, is Ray Borg going to be able to get the bigger Nathan Maness down? And I'm not sure, because there is a lot of question marks with Maness. Watching tape on him, there wasn't many fighters that tried to get him down. I did not get a chance to see much of his ground game there. But if Borg's able to take him down, I think Borg's going to look like a huge favorite here. The problem is I don't know if he's going to. We saw Borg coming up to 35 against Ricky Simone. He did not have the best success here, and of course he's going to be at a pretty big size disadvantage here, so that's kind of worrisome there. But I'm going to bank on Borg being able to get the fight to the ground. Obviously, Maness has not fought a wrestler or a grappler that of Ray Borg's caliber, and I'm really high on Ray Borg, but I'm not too sure about him at 135 yet. I want to see some more of it, and I think this is a good matchup to see where Ray Borg is at. So Ray Borg has landed 3.89 takedowns per 15 minutes, which is a really good amount. 50% takedown accuracy as well, so I am banking on him taking down Maness, but if he's not able to get down Maness, I think it could be a very, very dicey fight. So as for a bet, probably going to pass due to all the question marks, but I'm going to take Ray Borg to win by decision, and I think he's live for a submission if he is able to get down Nathan Maness as well. So Ray Borg by decision for me. All right, next we got a pretty, I guess you can call it an exciting fight here. Gerald Meerschaert versus Ed Herman. Meerschaert is 32 years old. He is 6'1 with a 77.5-inch reach. He is 31-13 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. He lands 3.31 significant strikes per minute with a 43% striking accuracy. He absorbs 3.58 significant strikes per minute with a 51% striking defense. Mirshard averages 2.34 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 44% takedown accuracy, and he has a 47% takedown defense. So in 44 fights, he has a 19% knockout rate, 74% submission rate, and a 93% finish rate overall for Meerschaert. He's lost by decision 8 times. He's lost by knockout 2 times. He's lost by submission 3 times. As for Ed Herman, Herman is 39 years old. He is 6'1 with a 75-inch reach, going to be at a 2.5-inch reach disadvantage. He is 24-14, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Averages 3.18 significant strikes per minute, pretty low volume there. 50% striking accuracy. Absorbs 3.110 significant strikes per minute, with a 45% striking defense, which is pretty poor there. He averages 2.45 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 52% takedown accuracy. He has a 61% takedown defense overall. 38 fights for Herman. He's won by knockout 27% of the time. He's won by submission 54% of the time. Has an 81% finish rate. Both these guys are finishers. He's lost by decision 8 times, lost by knockout 3 times, lost by submission 3 times. So Mirshard is a minus 185 favorite, and Herman is a plus 160 underdog. And I'm one of the few people that like Gerald Meerschaert. I think he's a good fighter, and I see improvements from him fight after fight in his striking. He's able to use his range and his length very well, and he has some good kicks. He has some really good body kicks, some really good leg kicks, and I just think he's going to be the busier fighter in this fight, and I think it's pretty much that simple. As long as he does not get caught from a big shot from 39-year-old Ed Herman, I think Meerschaert's either going to cruise to a decision or maybe get a knockout himself. He has some power in his hands, believe it or not. Or maybe even if he's able to take down Ed Herman, like Meerschaert's very, very good on the ground. I can see him getting a submission. Meerschaert, he just got starched in his last fight against Ian Heinisch. I'm sure he wants to get that fight out of his head and hopefully come out here and get a convincing win. I'm going to pick him to win by... I think he's going to finish this fight. I'm not sure if it's going to be by knockout or a submission. I'm going to pick him to win by submission. Maybe he hurts Herman. Maybe he hurts Herman on the feet, takes him down, submits him. But I do see him getting a finish in this fight. Herman's been submitted like 6 times. So, and Meerschaert's a dangerous fighter. He's finished 91% of his fights, like I said, and I do like him to win this fight. The line could be a little bit wider here, minus 185. So I am looking at taking a shot at that Meerschaert line there. But Meerschaert is someone who is typically, he's not liked by the Vegas odds makers there. He's someone who's typically an underdog in most of his fights, so it's kind of weird seeing him as a favorite here, but obviously he's the rightful favorite against someone in Ed Herman who is probably on his way out. And so give me Meerschaert to win. I'm going to say by submission there. Should be a fun fight, and I do think it finishes either way there. All right. Frankie Saenz versus Jonathan Martinez. So Jonathan Martinez, he is 26 years old. He is 5'8". He is don't know his reach here. He's 11-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Frankie Saenz, he is 39 years old. 5'6" with a 66-inch reach. He is 12-6 and 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Looking at the odds here, Martinez is a minus 220 favorite, and Saenz is a plus 180 underdog. So I really like Jonathan Martinez to win this fight. Watching tape on Jonathan Martinez, I think he's a very good striker. Very, very good striker. He arguably won his last fight against Andre Ewell. He's 26 years old, so you know he's making improvements each time, and Saenz on the decline. The only thing I'm worried about in this fight for Martinez is Martinez has a 33% takedown defense, and Saenz has a 33% takedown accuracy. He averages 1.77. I'm not so sure Saenz really has the cardio to have a wrestling-heavy game plan. Of course, you know, a guy as young as Jonathan Martinez, you know he's making improvements in his takedown defense, in his ground game overall, I'm sure. And I just think he's the better fighter overall by a decent margin here. So I don't hate the minus 220 line here. I just think that it could be a little dicey if Saenz does get him to the ground. Of course, Saenz has only finished 42% of his fights overall, which is not really a good finish rate there that you want to see. 17% by submission there. And Martinez has never been knocked out. He's never been submitted. Martinez has a very good chin on him as well. So I just think that Martinez is going to win this fight based off of volume, landing the better strikes, landing the more flashy strikes, maybe landing a knee. Maybe he's able to get Saenz out of there late, but I'm going to pick Martinez to win by decision here, stuff those takedowns, and take it to the judges and get that decision win there. So Kevin Holland versus Trevin Giles here. Kevin Holland, he is 27 years old. He is 6'3" with the 81-inch reach. He is 17-5 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Trevin Giles, he is 27 years old. He is 6 foot with a 74-inch reach. He is 12-2 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Looking at the line here, Holland is a minus 190 favorite, and Giles is a plus 165 underdog. So this fight is very weird to me. Both these guys, I don't think, have the best IQs at all. Holland has a very poor fight IQ. I mean, we've seen him go to the ground with Gerald Meerschaert when he had a clear advantage standing there, but he wanted to mess around with Mirshard. He arguably lost that fight. A lot of people thought Mirshard beat Holland there. And then he got submitted by Brendan Allen as well. That's something to look at there as well. Holland is a black belt, though, and he's going against, luckily, someone who has worse fight IQ than him and Trevin Giles. Like, man, Giles against Gerald Meerschaert, all he had to do was keep the fight on the feet, which he very well could have, but he was the one taking down Mirshard, so I really question his IQ for sure. Like, the very first couple punches, like, Giles was hurting Mirshard on the very first punch. He rocked him a little bit, and for Giles to go on the ground with Mirshard, I thought that was just displaying awful IQ there. And even against James Krause came in on like, what, a couple days short notice. Giles almost lost that fight, and I know a lot of people that thought James Krause won that fight as well. So the thing is, I really question where Giles' head is at. I just recently saw an interview that he wasn't able to train much because, he's a police officer. We all know that, and all the stuff that's been going on the past couple months. He said he wasn't able to train for a couple months, and he said he's been able to train recently, but taking a couple months off, I don't really like that against a fighter in Holland who we know is very hungry. We know this guy has been ready to go for some weeks. He just got that knockout win against Fluffy Hernandez, and he wanted to fight the week after that, but ended up pulling out due to an injury or weight cut issues or something like that. But this guy is hungry, and I like his attitude that he wants to fight right away. I really like that. And a guy in Giles, which I don't really think his head's in the game right now. I don't think he wants to do this MMA stuff full time. I think he rather wants to be a police officer. I think that's his number one priority, and we cannot say the same for Kevin Holland as well there. So the more I looked into this, at first thought maybe take a shot on Giles. I think Giles' path to victory is a knockout, honestly, and Holland has a chin on him. He really does, so I just don't see that happening. I like Holland pretty comfortably in this fight, whether it's getting a submission, whether it's getting a knockout, but just don't think Giles' head's in the game. And at minus 190 for Holland, I don't hate that. I really don't hate that. But it's really tough to pick Trevin Giles right now. I'm curious to see him on the scales, though. I really am. I'm curious to see if he has been training. I can tell you guys for sure right now that Kevin Holland's going to be ready. So I want to pick the more ready fighter, the fighter I think that wants to be a fighter, and I just don't see that in Giles after his past couple fights. So give me Kevin Holland to win. I'm going to pick him to win by submission there. I just think Giles makes too many mistakes. All right. So next we got Bobby Green versus Lando Vannata 2. Was watching this fight earlier today, and Vannata looked very good. He arguably won the fight, first of all, and he would have won the fight pretty clearly if it wasn't for a illegal knee. And that knee actually did not even touch Bobby Green. It was more of the thigh that touched Green from Vannata. So the ref took a point regardless. Don't really, blame him for that. Didn't have the best angle to see that, but it was illegal regardless. And Vannata was looking very good. So this is another guy who does not have great fight IQ, and Bobby Green. Bobby Green in his last fight against Clay Guida, he was leaving so many openings. He was almost, telling Guida, hit me, try to knock me out. And he was eating shots from Guida. I mean, Guida doesn't really have the power to knock somebody out like that. And Green does have a good chin, but he wasn't playing defense, Bobby Green. If he does that against Lando Vannata, I can tell you guys right now he's going to get knocked out. And, coming off of a win, Bobby Green's someone who is typically very cocky in there. And, coming off a win, I think that cockiness is probably going to be in there. And that's something that we don't really want to see if you are picking Green, and I am going Vannata here. Vannata's the younger fighter at 28 years old, which he is going to be making improvements each and every time, and I've seen those improvements. He's someone who used to come out there, try to get the finish right away. I think he's more, calm in there. He's more technical in there, and I do like that out of him. But Bobby Green, I just don't think he has the right fight IQ, and if he comes in here like he did last fight with that cockiness, putting his hands down, he's going to get knocked out. And Vannata was able to rock Bobby Green in their first fight as well. He almost got him out of there. The ref could have stopped the fight. It was 1 second away from Vannata getting a first round knockout, and then Vannata did that illegal knee to really change the fight around in a way. But I still think Vannata probably won either round 2 or round 3 in there, but one of the judges did give them a draw in there, or 2 of them. But it ended up being a draw, but if it wasn't for that illegal knee, Vannata would have won. So Vannata is a minus 150. So Vannata, this fight was a pick'em, I believe it was yesterday, and I really am kind of upset I was not able to jump on that line. I did all my research, and I was a little late on it, so I probably won't place a bet. If it sticks around minus 150, maybe after weigh-ins I'll take a shot at the minus 150. I don't hate it. But I would have really liked that pick and price. So props to anybody that got Vannata at that pick and price. That was very good odds there. I do think he wins this fight, although I think it could play out kind of close as the line does indicate. But I just think Vannata's going to land the harder shots and possibly rock Green at times. Green's not really a knockout guy. I don't really see him finishing. Vannata, Green has finished 32% of his fights by knockout. Vannata has finished 81% of his fights overall. So I think Vannata is a more dangerous guy, and I think he's going to land the more dangerous shots. And overall, I think this could be possibly fight of the night here. Both these guys are going to go at it. Their first fight was amazing. I'm expecting the same thing here. And hopefully Vannata gets him out of there. So I'm going to pick Vannata to win by, I'm going to say, second round knockout. I just think Green's going to be a little bit too cocky, keep his hands down, and Vannata's going to get him out of there with a head kick. So give me Vannata by knockout. All right, so if that was not fight of the night, then it probably is going to be this fight. Vicente Luque versus Randy Brown. Vicente Luque, he is 28 years old. He is 5'11" with a 76-inch reach. He is 18-7-1 and 4-1 in his last 5 fights. Luque lands 5.18 significant strikes per minute, which is a ton, with a 54% striking accuracy. But he absorbs 5.34 significant strikes per minute, which is also a ton, with a 52% striking defense. So Luque averages 0.82 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 50% takedown accuracy. He has a 65% takedown defense. So Luque has 26 fights. He's won by knockout 53% of the time. He was won by submission 37% of the time. 90% finish rate. This guy is a killer. He's lost by decision 6 times. He has lost by knockout no times in 26 fights. And he's lost by submission once. As for Randy Brown, he is 30 years old. Surprisingly, the older fighter. It seems like Luque is a lot older than 28. He's been in so many fights, so many wars there. But yeah, Brown is 30 years old. He is 6'3". He's going to have about a 4-inch reach advantage. He has a 78-inch reach, which is going to be about a 2-inch reach advantage, which on tape I thought it would be a little bit more than that. But he's 12-3 and 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So Brown, he averages 3.41 significant strikes per minute with a 48% striking accuracy. He absorbs 2.42 significant strikes per minute with a 55% striking defense. He averages 0.95 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 46% takedown accuracy, and he does have a 71% takedown defense. So in 15 fights, Brown has won by knockout 50% of the time. He's won by submission 33% of the time. He has an 83% finish rate. He's lost by decision once, lost by knockout once. We all remember that Nico Price hammer fist from bottom. And then he's been submitted once as well. Looking at the odds here, Luque is a -190 favorite here, and Randy Brown is a +165 underdog. So this fight could play out close. I see some people taking some shots on Brown, and I don't hate it. But the thing is, I think someone's going to finish in this fight, and I just don't see Brown putting Luque away. Luque was eating flush shots from Barberena. He was eating flush shots from Stephen Thompson. This guy has a chin of steel. He's been in so many wars, and the fact that he has not been knocked out is just, honestly, it's insane to me. And, you could argue that the damage is catching up on Luque. He is probably going to be at a decline at some time, but he's only 28 years old. And of course, with all those wars, you are going to come to a decline, and I do see it coming soon, and I think someone's going to put him away soon. I just don't think that guy is Randy Brown. This fight is going to be an absolute war, and I think Luque is going to be able to close the distance, land some shots on the inside of Brown. I think this is probably going to be standing the whole time. I don't really see either fighter going for a takedown. Maybe Luque does. Luque has a very good ground game as well. Brown's ground game is pretty good himself, but I think this is probably going to be striking for the most part. And Luque just throws a lot more. He throws a ton. He's going to initiate a brawl for most of the fight, if not all of the fight. This fight's going to be very fun. But I do see Luque getting a knockout here before. Brown's been knocked out before. Brown's been knocked out by, like I said, the hammer fist from Nico Price. He does have a chin other than that. But, Luque hits hard. We saw it in his last fight. We saw it pretty much all his career. Like, Luque is a killer. He's finished, like I said, 90% of his fights overall. So I do think he's going to finish Brown here. As for the line, -190, I think that's going to come down a little bit. I see a lot of love coming in for Brown, and I can understand the angle. Luque could be on a decline. All that damage is adding up there, but I just think he's the better fighter right now. And Brown, I think he could have some success in this fight. I think he's going to land shots, that's for sure. Luque, like I said, absorbs 5.34 significant strikes per minute. That's a ton. So I think Luque is going to be there to hit, but he's more than happy to play defense with his chin, and that's what he does. That's what he does. And I think he's going to land the harder shots, and I think that's really what's going to separate this fight for Luque here. So I think he's going to get a knockout. I'm going to say the second round there for Luque, but this fight could play out close other than that. So like I said, I'm looking at placing a bet on Luque, but I'm going to wait until that line gets a little bit closer. If it stays at where it's at, minus 190, minus 200, probably pass there, but this fight is going to be a war. All right, next we got the co-main event, which, you could argue like Vannata Green could be the co-main event. Luque Brown would be a good co-main event. This co-main event isn't awful. Joanne Calderwood was supposed to fight Valentina Shevchenko, so I think her striking is going to be pretty on point in this fight. But Calderwood is 34 years old. She is 5'6" with a 65.5-inch reach. Calderwood is 14-4 and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. She lands 5.86 significant strikes per minute, which is a ton. With a 50% striking accuracy, she absorbs 4.14 with a 50% striking defense. So she averages 1.61 takedowns per 15 minutes with a 53% takedown accuracy, and she has a 54% takedown defense. She averages 0.72 submissions per 15 minutes as well. In 18 fights, she's won 33% by knockout, 7% by submission, 40% finish rate overall. Both these girls aren't really finishers. Is probably most likely going to decision. Calderwood has been submitted twice and lost by decision twice. As for Jennifer Maia, she is 31 years old. She is 5'4" with a 64-inch reach, 17-6-1 her record, and 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Jennifer Maia lands 4.11 significant strikes per minute, which is a pretty good output there, slightly less than Calderwood there. 46% with striking accuracy. She absorbs 3.42 significant strikes per minute with a 50% striking defense. No takedowns for Maia with a 73% takedown defense. 24 fights, she has a 47% finish rate. Like I said, both these girls are probably not going to get a finish. Maia's lost by decision 5 times. She's been knocked out once, and she has never been submitted. Looking at the line here, Calderwood is minus 190 and Maia is plus 165. And I do like Calderwood in this fight quite a bit. I think she's the better fighter overall. I think she's going to throw more volume. Maybe she lands a takedown. Her ground game has improved quite a bit over her past couple fights. So that's something we got to give her credit for here. And I just think she's going to do more. I like Calderwood to win this fight probably quite comfortably, but, have not been having the best luck with those women's MMA fights lately. Like Rodriguez was actually a close fight, although she did get taken down all 3 rounds. She was doing some damage. And then, we all remember Molly McCann against Santos. Like, that was a surprise to a lot of people there as well. So I really do like Calderwood to win this fight. As for betting it, I don't know. I've been getting killed by this women's MMA, but I do think she gets it done. Honestly, don't hate the line either at minus 190. Like, some of these favorites, I wish they were a little bit closer in odds so I can take a shot, but I'm probably going to have to lay the chalk on some of these favorites. Like, lots of lines I am looking at and monitoring. Hopefully some of these lines come down, but honestly, they're probably going to get wider, so I'm probably going to move in pretty soon here. Like always, I'll go over all my bets, post them on Twitter, and then I'll go over them on the live stream. But give me Calderwood. I'm going to pick her to win by decision there. And like I said, her striking is probably going to be on point because she was about to fight Shevchenko, so that's something to look for there. And now we got the main event of the evening, and a very good one here as well. This is actually a big step up in competition for Shahbazyan. And just want to take a look at the line first of all and just say that this line is probably off. Like, Brunson is someone who really changed his style over the past couple of years. He used to be someone that went in there with no care at all, trying to get the finish right away. And now he really takes his time. He really has like a whole new style to his game, I noticed while watching tape. And I think 14 of Brunson's knockouts have came in the first round, and I'm not so sure he has a finish outside of that first round. So it's probably safe to say that if Brunson wins, it probably is in the first round, and if Shahbazyan wins, it's probably in the first round. But Shahbazyan, he is 22 years old. That's very, very young, and he's only getting better fight after fight. The ceiling is very high for this kid. He is 6'2" with a 74-inch reach. He is 11-0 and 5-0 in his last 5 fights. Derek Brunson, he is 36 years old, 6'1" with a 77-inch reach. He is 20-7, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. So a lot of people counted out Derek Brunson against Ian Heinisch. I think I was one of the only people on Derek Brunson in that fight. But, Brunson's cardio really held up, and I do give Brunson the cardio advantage most likely, unless Shahbazyan's really been working on that lately. But Brunson showed some very good cardio. For the most part, in that Heinisch fight, it was a very high-paced fight. Brunson did get tired towards the end of the fight, but for the most part, he had very good cardio. But this dude, Shahbazyan, he is an absolute beast. I do see him getting the finish here. Brunson is someone who has been knocked out 5 times. And I don't know, like Shahbazyan averages 7.68 takedowns per 50 minutes, which is a ton, with a 38% takedown accuracy. But Brunson has very good takedown defense, so I'm curious to see if Shahbazyan tries to get Brunson down, and if he does get him down, I'm very curious to see that, because Brunson is tough to take down. But I'm curious to see what happens there. But for the striking, I think that Shahbazyan's going to come out here and try to take off Brunson's head in that first round, and maybe the old Brunson that did try to get that first round finish, maybe he had more of a shot in this fight. But if Brunson can survive that first round, I do think it could get a little bit iffy. But I just see Shahbazyan ending this in the first round, touching Brunson on the chin. Brunson was rocked by that knee from Heinisch in that first round, but I do think Shahbazyan's going to get the first round knockout here. We've seen Brunson knocked out plenty of times before. I think we're going to see it again here. And, of course, Shahbazyan's the way younger guy at 22 years old. Brunson's 36, way past his prime, probably on a little bit of a decline, although he did have a good performance against Heinisch's last fight. But give me Shahbazyan by first-round knockout. Like I said, the line's out of whack at minus 345. That's just crazy. Probably put it in a parlay because I do think he wins this fight, but I wish the line was a little bit closer there. You could look at Shahbazyan inside the distance, which I think is like minus 265, something like that. So it's a little bit better, but I think the line should be a little bit closer, and Brunson is getting disrespected. But I do think that Shahbazyan comes out here and gets the first-round knockout. All right, guys, that is it. That is my breakdown and predictions for UFC Apex 5. Thank you guys for watching. As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please leave a like. Also, subscribe if you haven't yet. Trying to get 5,000 subscribers by UFC 252. Any subscribe helps. Thank you guys for all the support. You can follow me on Twitter, DFS_numbers. My DMs are always open for any questions. I try to get back to you guys as fast as I can. I'll be posting my bets early Saturday morning as well. Come talk some fights with me Saturday. And I will be going live Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time as always, giving my final thoughts, talking about the weigh-ins, which have been very important during this kind of period where we don't know how much training has been going into these fights with some of these fighters, and going over DraftKings and betting as well, going over all my bets on that live stream there. And then, of course, check me out on Odds HQ. Going to be going over there Tuesday evening, talking some DraftKings over there, and I believe Wednesday evening as well. So come in, show some support, and just going to be on there with some good guys, going over the card as a whole. And yeah, really looking forward to that. Hopefully they keep me on there for the future. Like I said, there's a great group of guys over there, and I'm glad to hopefully be part of that for the near future there. But that's about all I got for you guys. And good luck. Let's keep making some money. Like 5 straight weeks of profit for me. Hopefully you guys are doing good as well. And then crush the Fight Island card, like I said, plus 14 units. Posted all of that on my Twitter if you guys want to check that out. But just have been killing the game. Honestly, this week isn't the best for betting, but I'm sure we can find some spots, and I'm sure we can make some money. And with that said, good luck, guys, and let's cash some bets.